The sun peeked through my bedroom window, casting warm rays that danced across the walls. I woke up with a strange feeling, like the air was charged with electricity. Something was changing, and I could feel it deep inside me. I sat up and took a breath, trying to shake off the weight that settled in my chest. What was happening to me? Was it just another day, or was it the beginning of something new? As I looked around, I saw Nathan still asleep beside me, his breath steady and calm. He looked peaceful, and part of me felt guilty for the turmoil brewing inside. Our marriage seemed perfect from the outside. Friends envied us, and I wore a smile like a mask. But beneath it all, a storm raged. I had desires that I had buried deep, and they were clawing their way to the surface. Why did I feel so restless? I got out of bed and walked to the kitchen, the scent of coffee brewing a small comfort. While I waited for the coffee to finish, my mind drifted back to a day that felt like a lifetime ago. The day I met August. It was a rainy afternoon, and I had found refuge in a small cafe. I remember the sound of raindrops tapping against the window, a rhythm that somehow matched my heartbeat. As I sat there, lost in thought, August walked in, shaking off the rain like a golden retriever. "Is it always this gloomy?" he had joked, flashing a smile that lit up the room. I couldn't help but laugh. "It's Seattle. Gloom is our specialty," I replied, trying to hide my initial attraction. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing as easily as the coffee. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. With every laugh we shared, I could feel something sparking between us. It was exhilarating, and I couldn't deny the thrill it gave me. But even then, a small voice in my head whispered, "What about Nathan?" I shook my head, trying to dispel the thoughts that haunted me. Nathan was dependable, always there, always steady. But August? He was wild, spontaneous, and everything I had pushed aside in my life. The contrast between them was stark, and it left me feeling more confused than ever. "Why does this have to be so complicated?" I murmured to myself, pouring a cup of coffee. I took a sip and felt the warmth spread through me, but it didn't erase the gnawing feeling of unfulfilled desires. I glanced at the clock. Nathan would be up soon. What would I say to him? Would he sense the turmoil within me? I didn't want to hurt him, but how long could I pretend that everything was fine? Suddenly the doorbell rang, jolting me from my thoughts. My heart raced. Who could it be at this hour? I opened the door to find August, drenched from the rain, but with that same infectious smile. "Hi there," he said, shaking off the water like a dog. "Mind if I come in?" A rush of excitement coursed through me, and before I could think twice, I stepped aside. "Sure, just be quiet. Nathan is still asleep." He nodded, stepping inside, his eyes scanning the room. "Nice place you have. It feels cozy." "Cozy is one way to put it," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. My heart pounded, knowing that this moment was crossing a line I had been tiptoeing around for weeks. "Can I make you some coffee?" I offered. Even as the words left my lips, I wondered if I was making a mistake. "Only if you promise to sit with me while it brews," he said, a playful glint in his eyes. I laughed softly, the tension easing for a moment. But deep down, I felt a storm brewing, a mix of excitement and dread. What was I doing? What did I truly want? As I turned to prepare the coffee, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to leap into the unknown. And as much as I wanted to deny it, a part of me was ready to jump. As days passed, I felt myself sinking deeper into the secret world I had created with August. Each meeting sparked something in me that I thought had long since faded away. The thrill of our connection was intoxicating. I could hardly wait for the next time we would be together, and the anticipation sent shivers down my spine. I remember one particular afternoon, the sun shining through the cafe windows as I sat at our usual spot, my heart racing. August arrived, his smile bright enough to light up the entire room. He slid into the seat across from me, his eyes glimmering with mischief. "Hello, beautiful," he said, leaning closer. The scent of his cologne wrapped around me, making my heart beat faster. "Hi," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I thought you might not show up today." "Never," he chuckled. "I wouldn't miss our little rendezvous for the world." As we talked and laughed, I felt alive. It was as if I was waking up from a long sleep. But with each moment of joy came a wave of guilt crashing against me. I thought of Nathan, my husband, who was completely unaware of my growing feelings for another man. "Are you okay?" August asked, his voice pulling me back to the moment. I forced a smile, pushing the guilt aside. "Of course, just thinking about how much I enjoy our time together," I lied. I didn't want to ruin the moment with my inner turmoil. The conversation drifted, and soon we were sharing our dreams and fears, peeling back the layers of our souls. I found myself revealing more than I ever intended. "I've never felt this way before," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's like I can breathe again." August's gaze softened. "I feel it too, Alara. There's something different about us. Something real." His words sent a thrill through me, but my heart ached at the thought of Nathan. I was lying to my husband, and the weight of that truth pressed heavily on my chest. I glanced at the door, half expecting Nathan to walk in and catch me in this lie. "Do you ever think about what this means?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. August leaned back, his expression serious. "I think about it all the time, but I can't help how I feel. Can you?" I shook my head, feeling torn. "No, I can't help it. But what about Nathan? He deserves better than this." "Do you love him?" August asked, his eyes searching mine. I paused, the question hanging in the air like a heavy fog. I care about him. But it's different with you. It's exciting and I feel free." "Maybe you need to explore that freedom," he suggested, his voice low and inviting. "What is keeping you from being truly happy?" I stared into my coffee, the swirling liquid mirroring the chaos in my mind. I wanted to embrace this passion, but I was also scared. I didn't want to hurt Nathan, but I was tired of denying my own desires. "Maybe I'm just afraid," I admitted softly. "Afraid of what it all means." August reached across the table and took my hand. "You have to decide for yourself, Alara. Life is too short to live in limbo." His words struck a chord deep within me. I knew he was right. The thrill of being with August overshadowed the pain of my guilt. If only for a moment. I had to confront what I truly wanted. But as I looked into his eyes, I felt the familiar twinge of guilt. What about Nathan? I was betraying him in ways I never thought I would. "August, I started to say, but my voice faltered. He squeezed my hand gently. "You don't have to say anything right now. Just think about it. We can't keep playing this dangerous game without consequences." I nodded, my heart heavy. I knew he was right. The excitement of our affair was intoxicating, but the reality of my situation loomed over me like a dark cloud. I was standing on the edge of a cliff, and I had to decide whether to jump or to step back. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow around us, I felt both exhilarated and terrified. What lay ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. I was no longer the same woman who had woken up just days ago. I was becoming someone new, and I had to figure out what that meant for my life and my heart. I felt my heart race as I heard the familiar sound of Nathan's keys jingling in the front door. I glanced at August, panic washing over me. We had been sharing a moment that felt so right, yet so wrong. In that instant, I knew our worlds were about to collide in a way I had never imagined. "Hide," I whispered urgently, my voice barely above a breath. August's eyes widened, but he didn't hesitate. He slipped into the hallway just as Nathan stepped through the door, his presence filling the room with an unexpected heaviness. "Hey, Alara, I'm home early," Nathan called out, his voice bright and cheerful. I forced a smile, trying to mask the storm brewing inside me. "Hi, love. I didn't expect you back so soon," I replied, my voice trembling slightly. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat reminding me of the risk I had taken. As Nathan moved into the living room, I could see his eyes scanning the space. I held my breath, wishing I could rewind time to erase the moments I had spent with August, but it was too late. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the walls closing in around me. "What were you up to?" Nathan asked, settling onto the couch. I could see the warmth in his smile, and it made my guilt even heavier. "Oh, just reading," I said, gesturing to a book on the coffee table. The truth felt like a weight strapped to my chest, suffocating me. "Anything good?" he asked, leaning back comfortably. I watched him, studying the man I had promised my life to, and my heart twisted at the thought of betraying him. It's okay. Just a romance novel," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. I knew I should have told him the truth, but the fear of losing him paralyzed me. Suddenly, I heard a sound coming from the hallway. August had accidentally knocked over a lamp. My heart dropped. Nathan's eyes shot to the hallway, and in that moment, everything changed. "Did you hear that?" Nathan asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. I felt my stomach drop as I realized there was no way to hide anymore. It's probably just the wind," I stammered, my mind racing. But the look on Nathan's face told me he wasn't convinced. He stood up, moving toward the hallway with a cautious curiosity. I felt frozen in place, unable to call out or stop him. My heart thudded in my chest as he stepped closer to the source of the noise. "Nathan, wait," I finally managed to say, but it was too late. He rounded the corner, and there stood August, caught in the act, looking just as shocked as I felt. The room fell silent. Time seemed to freeze as I watched Nathan's expression shift from confusion to disbelief, then to hurt. His eyes widened, and I could see the pain etched on his face. "August?" Nathan's voice was low, almost a whisper. I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes as I looked back and forth between them. "Nathan, I can explain," I began, but my words felt inadequate. The weight of my betrayal hung heavy in the air, and I was acutely aware of how much I had shattered the trust we had built. "How long?" Nathan asked, his voice trembling with emotion. I could see the hurt in his eyes, and it tore at my heart. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far," I replied, my voice breaking. I was lost, and August, he made me feel alive. "Alive?" Nathan echoed, disbelief lacing his tone. "You think this is about feeling alive? You've broken everything we had, Alara." I felt paralyzed by the weight of my actions. The love I had for Nathan battled fiercely with the desire I had for August. I wanted to reach out to Nathan, to comfort him, but I felt trapped in my own chaos. "Please, just let me explain," I said, tears streaming down my cheeks. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was confused." "Confused," Nathan repeated, his voice rising now, filled with anger and anguish. "You've betrayed me with someone I thought was a friend. Psh." The pain in his voice cut deep, and I knew there was no way to undo the damage. I watched as he turned away, his shoulders slumping in defeat. In that moment, I felt the ground beneath me shift, and I realized that everything I had known was crumbling. As August stepped back, I felt an overwhelming sense of loss. I had to face the reality of my choices, the love I had for Nathan, and the desire that had led me to this moment. I was caught in a collision of my worlds, and there was no escaping the consequences. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft shadows in the room. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of my actions pressing down on me. Nathan had always been my rock, my safe harbor, but now, every glance from him felt like a reminder of my betrayal. I sighed, turning to see him still asleep, his brow slightly furrowed, as if he were lost in troubled dreams. "Hey," I whispered, my voice barely above a breath. He stirred, but didn't wake. I felt a pang of guilt. How could I face him? How could I pretend everything was normal when my heart ached for August? As the day went on, the house felt unnaturally quiet. I busied myself with chores, trying to drown out my thoughts. Each time Nathan walked into the room, I could feel the distance growing between us. It was as if an invisible wall had been built, and I was trapped on one side, while he stood on the other, staring at me in confusion and hurt. "Do you want to talk about it?" Nathan finally asked one evening, breaking the silence that had wrapped around us like a thick fog. "About what?" I replied, my voice a little too sharp. "About whatever it is that's bothering you." His eyes searched mine, filled with concern, but I could see the uncertainty behind them. I shook my head, afraid that if I spoke, the truth would spill out like a broken dam. "I'm fine, Nathan. Just tired." He nodded, but I could tell he didn't believe me. I hated lying to him. I hated knowing that he deserved better than this. Later that night, I found myself texting August. My fingers hovered over the screen as I typed and deleted messages, unsure of how to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. I felt a mix of excitement and dread. How could I face him after everything that had happened? "Hey," I finally typed, my heart racing. "Can we talk?" The response came quickly, sending a thrill through me. "Of course, where?" The cafe where we first met flashed in my mind, and I agreed to meet him there. As I drove, my mind was a whirlwind of emotions. I yearned to feel his presence, to be wrapped in the warmth of his laughter. But at the same time, I was terrified of what our meeting would mean. When I arrived, August was already there, his eyes lighting up when he saw me. "Alara," he said, standing up to greet me. There was a warmth in his voice that made my heart skip a beat. "Hi," I replied, forcing a smile. But the tension was palpable. We settled into a small booth, and I could feel the weight of our unspoken words hanging between us. "How have you been?" he asked, his gaze steady, searching mine for answers. "Trying to figure things out," I admitted, my voice trembling. "Everything is just complicated." "I get that. I've been thinking about you," he confessed, leaning closer. "But I don't want to put you in a difficult position." The honesty in his words cut through me. "It's not fair to you. I never wanted to hurt anyone." "Then don't," he replied softly. "You need to decide what you want, Alara. This can't go on like this." His words struck a chord deep within me. I realized then that I needed to confront my feelings, not just for August, but for Nathan as well. I had to be honest with both of them, no matter how painful it would be. "I know," I whispered, tears welling in my eyes. "But I don't know how." August reached across the table, his hand covering mine. "You have to find your truth. Only then can you choose a path forward." As his warmth enveloped me, I felt a flicker of clarity. I needed to face Nathan, to face the consequences of my choices. There was no escaping the truth anymore. It was time to confront the reality of my heart and what I truly wanted. "Thank you," I said, squeezing his hand before pulling away. I think I know what I need to do." The conversation lingered in my mind as I drove home, the weight of my decisions heavy on my shoulders. I was scared, but for the first time, I felt a sense of determination. I would not run away from my feelings anymore. It was time to confront them head on. Standing at the crossroads of my life, I felt the weight of my choices pressing down on me. Nathan's love had always been my anchor, steady and reliable, yet the thrill of my connection with August surged through me like a wildfire, consuming everything in its path. I sat on the edge of my bed, feeling the fabric of my life unraveling with each passing second. I took a deep breath. "What do I really want?" I whispered to myself, hoping the answer would come in a flash of clarity. It was then that I remembered a conversation I had with my friend Sarah just days ago. "Alara, you need to think about what makes you happy," she had said, her eyes serious. "You can't keep living for everyone else. You deserve to feel alive." I could still hear her words echoing in my mind. It was true. I had spent so long trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect friend. But where did that leave me? Lost, caught between two worlds that pulled me in different directions. Maybe I should talk to Nathan, I thought, my heart racing at the idea. But the thought of facing him, of seeing the hurt in his eyes again, made my stomach churn. I glanced at my phone, hesitating to call him. Instead, I picked up my journal, a safe space where I could spill my thoughts onto the pages. As I wrote, I felt a wave of emotions crashing over me. Guilt, fear, and a desperate longing for clarity. "I love Nathan," I wrote, "but I crave the excitement that August brings. How can I choose?" With each word, I realized how torn I was. I could almost hear August's laughter, the way it lit up the room, contrasting with the quiet comfort of Nathan's presence. I closed my eyes, trying to find some peace in the chaos. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Nathan. "Can we talk tonight? I need to see you." My heart dropped. This was it. The moment I had been dreading yet knew was inevitable. I typed back, "Of course. I'll be home by 6. As the hours crawled by, I paced the room, my mind racing. What would I say? How could I explain my feelings without breaking him further? The clock ticked loudly, a reminder of the impending confrontation. When Nathan walked through the door, the atmosphere shifted. He looked tired, his eyes heavy with unspoken words. "Alara," he started, his voice low. "I've been thinking about everything, about us." I swallowed hard. "Me too, Nathan. I don't know how to start." He took a deep breath, his gaze steady. "I just want you to be honest with me. I can handle the truth, whatever it is." I felt the weight of his words. "I've made mistakes, Nathan. I've hurt you, and I'm so sorry," I said, my voice trembling. I got lost in what I thought I wanted, and I didn't consider how it would affect us. He looked at me, his expression a mix of pain and confusion. "Is there someone else?" The question hung in the air like a heavy fog. "Yes," I admitted, my heart racing. "There is someone else, but it's not just about him. I've been unhappy for a long time, and I didn't know how to say it." Nathan's face fell, and I could see the hurt deep in his eyes. "Why didn't you come to me? We could have worked through it together." "I thought I could handle it on my own," I said, tears stinging my eyes. "But I see now that I can't. I need to make a choice, Nathan. I can't keep living this lie." The room fell silent, the weight of my confession sinking in. I could feel my heart breaking for both of us. "I love you, Nathan. But I also feel something powerful for August. I don't know if I can have both." He looked away, and I could see the struggle in his eyes. "I don't want to lose you, Alara, but I can't pretend everything is okay when it's not. In that moment, I realized the truth. I was at a crossroads, and I had to choose a path. Whatever I decided would change everything. I need to think, I said softly, my heart heavy with the burden of my choices. As I sat in the silence that followed, I knew this was just the beginning of my journey. I was ready to confront the reality of my feelings, even if it meant losing everything. I stood in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection. The woman looking back at me felt foreign. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down on my chest. Today was the day I would talk to Nathan. I needed him to know everything. About August, about my confusion, and about the feelings I had buried for so long. As I walked into the living room, I found Nathan sitting on the couch, lost in thought. The sunlight streamed in through the window, casting a warm glow on his face. He looked so peaceful, yet I knew the storm inside me would disrupt that peace. "Nathan," I said softly, my voice trembling. He turned to me, his expression shifting from calm to concern. "Is everything okay, Alara?" he asked, his brow furrowing. I took a seat across from him, feeling the distance between us. "I need to talk to you about something important." He nodded slowly, his gaze steady. "What's on your mind?" I swallowed hard, my heart racing. "It's about us, and about what I've done." I paused, searching for the right words. "I've been unfaithful." The air thickened with tension. Nathan's expression fell, and I could see the hurt flash across his eyes. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I felt tears welling up as I continued. "I met someone. His name is August. We've been seeing each other, and I didn't want to hide it from you anymore." I could barely breathe as I spoke those words. Nathan's face turned pale, his hands clenched into fists. "You've been seeing him? How long has this been going on?" "About 6 months, I admitted, my voice cracking. "I didn't plan for it to happen. It just did. I felt lost, and he made me feel alive again." "Alive?" Nathan echoed, his tone a mix of disbelief and pain. "You felt alive with him while we were… what? Just existing?" I nodded, my heart breaking at the sight of his hurt. "I know it sounds awful. I didn't want to hurt you. But I couldn't keep lying to myself. Or to you." Silence enveloped the room, heavy and suffocating. Nathan turned his gaze away, staring at the floor as if searching for answers in the carpet fibers. "What do you want me to say, Alara?" he finally asked, his voice cold. "I want you to understand," I replied softly. "I want us to talk about this, to figure out what it means for us. I don't want to run away from what I've done. I want to be honest." He looked back at me, the pain in his eyes almost too much to bear. "Honest? You think honesty can fix this? You betrayed me, Alara. How do I even know if I can trust you again? I know trust is broken. I know I made a terrible mistake," I said, my voice rising with desperation. "But I also know that I love you. I don't want to lose what we had. I need to figure out who I am now. I need to find myself again." Nathan's shoulders relaxed slightly, but the hurt remained. "And what if you find out that you don't want me? What if this journey leads you away from me?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. "I can't promise you anything, but I know that I can't keep pretending. I need to explore my feelings and understand what I truly want. But I want to do that with you, if you're willing." He looked down again, processing my words. "This is a lot to take in, Alara. I don't know if I can forgive you right now." "I understand," I said gently. "But I hope we can work through this together. I want to be honest with both you and myself, I owe you that much." After a long pause, Nathan finally nodded, though his expression remained pained. "I need time. We both do." I felt a glimmer of hope, despite the sadness that lingered. "I'll give you all the time you need, Nathan. Just know that I'm here, ready to face the truth, whatever it may be." As I stood up to leave the room, I felt a small weight lift off my shoulders. This was just the beginning of my journey to self-discovery, but it was a step I needed to take. I hoped that through this honesty, I could find the clarity I was searching for, even if it meant facing the consequences of my choices. Share this story if you believe that honesty and vulnerability can lead to true self-discovery and healing. Leave a comment about a moment when you had to confront a difficult truth in your own life, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories like this one.